Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 23rd of February, comes to you from London. Dollar continuing to climb on the short-term chart, really just flattening out a bit over the last couple of days. We do have this new upside target of about 4.5%, but we'd need to move above this high that we saw yesterday at about 90.40 to activate that. Probably about 90.30 actually, 90.30. So if we do that, we activate a new upside target, but of course the trends are still down, and we've got the long and medium term pressures against us. The euro consequently falling against the dollar strength, but it's again flattening, and it may be just starting to turn there as well and finding support on the short-term point and figure chart. So we really just have to wait and see whether the dollar can push higher and activate that target or not. Japanese yen, just here we're seeing the dollar falling away through, so this is a bit of a telltale sign that the dollar is probably going to weaken. We're seeing it already weakening against the yen, turning bearish short term. So looks like that few days run on the dollar may well be over. Looking at sterling just up slightly this morning, nudging this 140 level again against the dollar. So we are just seeing that recovery there, but we do have these downside targets hanging over us. We're still bearish on the short-term chart. And against the euro, sterling is actually just testing sort of 3-day highs here, so looking a bit better there as well. Looking at the Forex, sterling, Swiss franc, sterling falling through here on the cloud. Yesterday we actually tweeted on this. We do have downside targets of about 3 and 4%. Got 3 downside targets here. We are just going a bit weaker there. Looking against the Australian dollar, sterling rising quite strongly here. So Aussie dollar weakness just showing through. And Bitcoin, we're seeing here also that we're just falling away through the cloud on the short-term chart. So interestingly there that we are seeing weakness just clicking through. Looking at the S&P 500 index, we saw yesterday just slight rise there, but it's really very flat at the moment. So a risk of rolling over and going lower, that would be a new bear market. We need to keep pushing higher and ultimately take out the high that we saw in January. Same is true of the NatGas. Of course, we're seeing these US indices just flattening out at the moment. So where we end this week will be quite critical to watch during the today. The Dow was up 2/3% yesterday, so relatively strong, but again just flattening there. And the Russell 2000 index again just struggling to continue its and run, just finding quite a lot of resistance at about this 1550 level. The futures this morning, we're seeing the S&P 500 future just up slightly. So we may see the US market opening a bit higher. We're just holding support here. We do have upside targets, but not yet activated. And the same on the NASDAQ future. We are just still above on the E-mini, but very flat the last few days. So just really waiting. A strong end to the week would be it would be good to see. FTSE 100 we're seeing here down slightly this morning, just really struggling. And the FTSE 250 much the same, flat and struggling. So we're just seeing European indices struggling to go higher. Same with the DAX, all very flat at the moment. Really waiting for a signal on that direction from the US. Are we going to go higher and continue the recovery, or are we rolling over for another sell-off? And the same with the CAC Quarante, of course. Tokyo was up overnight, so Asian indices were quite strong. Europe's not so strong. We've got a bit more of a heads up on the futures in Europe this morning, but the US futures. But we see here Tokyo just trying to get back into bullish territory, but still not quite there. And the Hang Seng Index is actually recovering and did look like it bounced clearly. In fact, the Hong Kong market is probably the best looking Asian market at the moment, the major Asian market at least. The Chinese market continuing its recovery but still bearish, and the Indian market up nearly 1%, so looking stronger but still not bullish above the cloud, finding support, but we do have these downside targets hanging over us on the Indian market, so still not looking that great. The Australian market looking stronger, that weaker dollar just helping there, and the weaker Aussie dollar. And if we look at some of the commodities, Brent crude a bit stronger yesterday, now sitting at $66, so we're in bullish territory here at the moment on the short-term chart. Medium and long-term charts are bearish, are bullish as well, and we're also seeing the same on the light crude chart, of course, WTI. We do have quite a few upside targets here, 66.50. That's only about 0.5% upside, so we are seeing potential for it to go higher. Keep an eye on the 1-minute charts. US NatGas sank lower yesterday. Storage numbers were out, and we see here we're back below the cloud at 2.5%. Seeing US NatGas, we've got one target here hanging over us of $2.42. We've got this massive downside target here of 127. If we go to new lows, it's really just hard to imagine. But you know, we have got a lot of downside targets hanging over us at the moment, so this chart is pretty bearish. Another one here of 197. So really need to keep an eye on that. Gold just sitting at around this $1,330 mark, just struggling to get back through the cloud. So we are short-term bullish. We've got a downside target. The trends are all up though on the medium and long term. So we would expect these longer-term trends to start playing through. And the same for silver. Of course, we are just seeing silver just starting to get through on the short-term chart. US 10-year yield sitting at 2.9%. Just can't break that into that 3% area where everyone expects yields to go. But what's interesting is we are just sitting and holding in these 290s, and we are still just bullish above the cloud there. Looking at Apple, the recovery continues on Apple shares, but we're just again a bit flat here. We need to see a kick up. So today will be really important, just seeing an end to the week. And the same with Amazon. Amazon actually probably the most bullish looking of all the charts, bullish on all 3 time frames and nudging new highs yesterday. So not many stocks doing that, and that's of course relatively strong compared to the market. And the same, we're seeing Google here, work to do to get to new highs, but still looking a bit better. Facebook still struggling to get above this $180 level, so quite key there. But we are just coming through on the short-term chart. And Microsoft marching up the hill, continuing that long-term uptrend, really amazing long-term chart, and we are short and medium-term bullish as well, so a bright spot there. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. Until Monday, happy charting. See you then.